Hey there! So, as I explained in one of my previous videos, I contacted Yardled and I suggested a collaboration because I thought it would be interesting to show people the differences between the Yardled Pocket, Viceroy, the Viceroy Standard and the Viceroy Grand. So, I have done my video on the Viceroy Pocket and I thought today we would talk about the Viceroy Standard. A very nice all-purpose size for everyday use that I think will appeal to a lot of people. So today we're going to look at this. I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I'm going to do a writing sample. I'm going to tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. But before we do this, I think we should all take a second to thank Yardled for the incredible generosity they have shown me in sending me these two pens. Don't forget, this is, relatively speaking, a smaller company. This is not a company that makes 500,000 of these a day, right? So when they send me this, that means something. That means this company cares about their customers because they want to send me this so I can show you these products so it will be easier for you to decide what it is you want to purchase. And I think that is incredibly generous and a wonderful gesture. I just wanted to point that out. Now, let's get the show on the road. Parts of the pen, writing sample, likes and dislikes. Or this way if you prefer. Let's get started. Okay, so here we go with the Yardled I keep saying lead, I don't know why. The Yardled Viceroy Standard. Box, cardboard sleeve, then a nice box. What is this? What is this? What is this? Well, this is just an empty placeholder cartridge which they can put in for shipping. And this interesting device is a nib protector, which, because you get your pen in the box like this, wrapped in very classy paper, but I have thrown out the paper because I had to use the pen, right? So there is that. Let me just try and open up. There we go. What do we have in here? We have a Yardled Guarantee and User Guide, nicely done. Nice cream paper, looks very classy. I really enjoyed that. And a silver polishing cloth, which is marked Yardled, which is useful because of course the pens are solid sterling silver. Okay, now I know what you really want to see. You want to see that pen, so let's zoom in a little bit so you can see the full glory. I put it right next to a Lamy Safari, just for size. You can see it's about the same length, but the Safari is much girthier. Right now, as I said, there will be a video where I show all of these off side by side, right? So there will be a side-by-side comparison of all three. So I had to take a sip of tea. All three of the Yardled Viceroy pens. But this is the standard. So let's talk about this for a bit. It's £695, so it is by no means cheap. That is about 900 US, but I will come back to that when I talk about likes and dislikes. It's a nice size, right in between the pocket size, and again, there will be a side-by-side comparison video, and the rather large Viceroy Grand, right? So I think this is a nice size for many people. Not the girthiest, it's only about 1 centimeter in diameter, but it is quite nice. 3 nib options, fine, medium and broad in number 5, and it is solid sterling silver with this hand-hammered pattern, which on the Grand can take about 3,000 individual hammer strikes. It's not done by machine, it's done by hand, which means that all of these pens will be a little bit different, which I think is very, very cool. Okay, let's look at this pen. On top here, the finial, very shiny, as you can see. I'm there. Hi! We have the beautiful, classic looking clip, the crisp engraving, and that beautiful vintage looking shape with the 2 rivets that I've always absolutely enjoyed. The word steampunk comes to mind a bit, but it's a very nice vintage design. Then we have this superb pattern. I'll show you that better on the barrel. On the one hand here on this side we have some hallmarks, 925 for the silver content. There is the Yardled logo, there is a regional stamp, there is a year code, etc. So you can look up what all those symbols mean if you like. There's 2 rings there, which I've always liked, that end of the barrel, the end of the cap, and then here we have the clear bit that you can have engraved, which again is very, very shiny. Then you have the barrel. Beautiful craftsmanship. I mean, it's very hard not to be absolutely obsessed with the way they do this. You can tell it's done with love. You can tell it's done with passion because it's incredibly nice, incredibly nicely done. And we have those rings there, and then we have a little end cap. The cap slips off. Then you have the number 5 nib. You have the metal section. I'll come back to that too. And then you have this beautiful nib. It says yard lead. It has some nice scroll work on it. It says 18 CT for 18 karat and 750 for the gold content. And this is a broad nib. And right there, I don't know how well you can see, it says 925 sterling. Lovely pen, lovely in hand, nice size. If you really want to, you can post it. I did not receive a warning not to do that. And then it's a very nice size. It is the diameter of about a pencil though, so it is a slightly slimmer pen, and I may notice that particularly because I'm so used to the Grand, which is, well, substantially beefier, right? So that may just be me. It's not the most girthy pen in the world. Ink feeding system, rather simple. Cartridge converter is supplied with a converter, so you can start writing straight away. Little fun fact, I usually clean pens first because sometimes there's some oil or machine residue on the feed, in this case this plastic feed. In this case I was so excited I just inked up the pen straight away. I never cleaned it and it wrote out of the box perfectly. So that I would say is a very nice aspect of this particular pen. It is made very well and that worked really well. And I think what we need to see next is how it writes. So let's get this show on the road. I'm sorry about all the stuff in the background. That's just a lamp, and then let me see if I can move that. There's a light. Yeah, well, we're gonna have to live with it. There we go. A little better. Okay, so the yard lead. Viceroy. Standard. I'm sorry about the heater blowing in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. I can. Nothing I can do about it right now. 18 karat broad nib, and the ink is Waterman Blue Black, which I think is a nice classy color for a nice classy pen. The writing experience is smooth. And very pleasant. There was a bit of a skip there. Let's see what it does when we do fast writing. Nobody would write this fast. And you see that the pen struggles a bit, right? It struggles a bit here, but as I said, sorry, I don't think anyone would really ever write this fast. What I have found is that this nib is rather springy. And once you start to apply some pressure, it's not a flex nib, once you start to apply a little bit of pressure, it can skip a bit. Now, again, I don't think anyone would write this fast, but let's give this another test run. So now I'm trying to make sure to use very light pressure, because I know that when I write this quickly, I press down harder because I have to do it in a way I can do that quickly. Now let's see how fast someone would write the alphabet, say. As you can see, there's no real skipping there. So I don't think that's bad at all. Okay, wetness. As you can see, it's not a gusher. Of course, also a bit of a function of the ink. This may not be the world's wettest ink, but there is that. Line variation, be very careful, but as I said, there is definitely some line variation possible with this nib. I found it surprisingly soft actually. But again, not a flex nib, not advertised as such. Okay, let's do another one, because I know people are going to ask me if this nib is okay or not. As you can see, it writes. No skipping there. So I really think this super fast writing, that was a bit of an anomaly just because of the excessive speed. As you can see, under normal writing circumstances, it works very well. The final thing you want to see, or some of you want to see, is the reverse writing. And as you can see, the nib runs too dry. So you can't do that. Okay, let's see what I like about it and what I not like about it. Okay, so what do I think about the Yardled Standard? Well, I think it's a fantastic pen, and it's very hard not to love this pattern. So again, hand finished, right? It is stunning. It is a stunning material. It's a beautiful, beautiful finish. It's incredibly shiny, but it's not just that. The pattern is incredible. And everyone I hand these pens to try out, every time, without fail, they say, wow, this is stunning. The weight of the silver, this very tactile finish, because there's a little bit of relief differences in like in height. Very, very interesting. So I love that. I love that this size, I think, resonates well with many people. The Yardled Viceroy ground is a beautiful pen, my favorite of the three, but then I like a bigger pen. For many people, I think this would be a great size. To me, personally, a little bit on the skinny side. So I think it would be a smart idea, if possible, to try out this pen. Now that's not so easy because there aren't that many shops that necessarily carry these, which is a shame. I would really enjoy it if more shops started to carry this brand, because it is a superb brand. So there you have it. We have 3 nib options, fine, medium, broad, which is quite nice. It's not the widest of ranges, but then on the other hand, some companies only do medium now, so I think fine, medium, broad is really quite nice. The pens write pretty well. I have found every Yardled I've owned to write well. This one in particular I found a little bit finicky to pen pressure, but that is the first time I've used a Yardled pen that was not 100% perfect, and I would still say this writes 90% out of the box. You may want to get that a little bit of a tune-up, which I may have done at some point, but to be fair, it writes. It's just that once you start to use some pressure, the nib gets a little finicky. So under light pressure, as you should use a fountain pen anyway, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I think that just may be a one-off event, because as I said, I have used, I have to think there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is my 5th Yardled, and all other 4 perfect writing performance out of the box. So I wouldn't let that distract you. I've also had a lot of people comment on posts I've done about Yardled, and they have all said their pens wrote perfectly. So it may be this very one particular pen that was not an absolute optimal performance. But even so, again, it's mainly with pressure. And with low pressure, the pen writes perfectly. And it could be a bit of the ink as well. It's not the wettest ink. So I have to play around a little bit more with that. I wouldn't let that distract you, but I'm pointing it out. It's an honest review, right? So there is that. As I said, maybe a little skinny for some people. For me, it definitely is. But if you don't like it, then buy the ground, because the ground will not be skinny, right? The most important thing to me is this is a company that values quality. This is a company that values craftsmanship, artistry, and that shines through. You can feel it. Hold one of these pens and you will see it, you will feel it, you'll know exactly what I mean. A solidly made pen, a beautiful pen, and to me, these pens, this is heirloom quality. This is something you can pass on to your grandchildren, so to speak. And they're beautiful, and they're wonderful. The pens, I mean, not necessarily your grandchildren, although I'm sure they're wonderful too. And it's silver, so it's going to tarnish. Some people may polish it off with a polishing cloth, some people may leave it. You can see that develop as it is, and as you like it to pan out. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful pen, and I absolutely love it. So, I hope that was useful. Again, a very kind thank you to Yardled. I hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye-bye.